Today we're going to be taking my Skaven Blood Bowl team and giving them a little bit of a transformation, and we'll get started right after this.
Pickle jar, miniatures, excellent!
Hello and welcome to the Pickle Jar. My name's Josh, and in today's video we're going to give my Skaven Blood Bowl team a little bit of a base upgrade. Now, like a lot of people, when I first started putting this team together, I just chucked static grass on, painted a white line on it, and called it done. This was fine for getting my team finished so that I could get out and play some games and stuff, but I've since decided to go back through my older teams and upgrade the bases so that they've all got something a little bit unique that fits in with that team better. Now, the first thing that I need to do is actually get the base ready to sort of paint. Now, there's the slaughter base on there. I've filled that in and we'll fill it in a little bit more later on. But for now, all I'm doing is sanding down the texture on top of the base. Now, you don't have to do this. This is just something that I like to do because I don't really like the texture that comes on top of the Blood Bowl bases, if I'm honest. Once you've smoothed that down, we're going to chuck a little bit of texture on. All we're using this for is just to fill in the little nubbin in the middle of the base and the remainder of the slot that comes on these bases. Now, you don't need to put too much of this on, just a little bit will do. I've put way too much on here, but just a little bit of this will do, just to fill in those gaps. You can use anything, any filler will do. I use cheap building stuff normally, but this is what I'd got to hand, so this is what I'm using today. Just fill in those gaps, smooth it over, and then once you've got it on, make sure you've got none around the edge of the base. Just wipe that off while it's still wet, and then once that is all sort of done and on, just put it to one side and go and enjoy maybe a battle report from one of your favourite YouTube channels while that's drying. And then once it's dried, go back and just give it a quick sanding just to make sure that those sort of ridges that are coming there are nice and smooth down, ready to start painting. Now, I actually used the matte white from Colourforge to give this a quick blast and a base coat. They sent me these out a couple of weeks ago and I've used them on a few different products and I'm very impressed with the finish that they give. If you want to check them out, there's a link down below in the description for a nice bundle. Once your base coat is on and dry, it's time to start adding some of your undercolour. Now, because these are for my Skaven team, I want to go for a bit of a green glow coming up through the base later on. So all I'm doing is stippling on Warpstone Glow. You can use any green, doesn't have to be Warpstone Glow, but I would say start off with a darker colour green like this, and then gradually stipple on lighter and lighter colours, just so there's some different tones and different sort of colours in there. Most of this is going to be covered up later on with what we're going to do with the base at later stages, but it's nice to have those options there because sometimes the crackling paste that we're going to use later on doesn't work in the same way every time. So it's nice to have this built in and the options there, because if it does go wrong, you can always sort of do something a little bit different with your base. Speaking of the crackling paste, we're going to be using the Mordant Earth Technical Paint from Citadel. Now, this stuff is awesome. I've used this on my salamanders loads. It does give a really nice effect when it's used properly. Now, you do have to put this on quite thick to get the bigger cracks, which is what we're wanting today. If you put it on quite thin, you will get smaller, like spiderweb style cracks, but we want nice big chunks cutting out and missing, so we're going to put this on really thick. Now, I think this is fine for something like a Blood Bowl team where there's a limited amount of models, but the thing that I found when I was doing it with my salamander army is I was going through quite a lot of this to put on the bases to get the bigger cracks, so just bear that in mind if you're thinking about doing it for any of your projects. Once the Mordant Earth is all on and dry and you're happy with the cracks you got, it's time to start adding in the last little bits of detail on the base. Now, I'm adding in some tufts here from Games Workshop. Now, these are supposed to stick by themselves, but I always put a little bit of super glue down just to make sure they don't fall off. And then once they're all on and secure, I'm going to add some of the Geek Gaming Scenics Grimdark City Rubble onto the base in a few select areas. Now, the idea behind this is that this is a pitch that's fallen into sort of, you know, it's cracking and the stuff's coming up from underneath. I don't want the entire base to be covered in the cracking effect. Now, the reason that we do the cracking effect over the entire base to start with is because if any of it goes wrong, as I mentioned earlier, you've got options then to use different bits and pieces if you want to. Now, luckily on this base, it all worked fine, so I've got more freedom to put the other textures and the other basing material wherever I want to. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just picking a few areas on the base that I want to put this basing material on. I'm dabbing on the quick drying basing glue, and then once that's on, all I'm going to do is scoop up the finer parts of the Grimdark City Rubble avoiding any of the big rocks, the big chunks, and just scooping those up and dropping them onto the base. Now you don't want to tip this over the entire base, because what will happen is the small bits will go into all the cracks and it'll completely cover up all the green that you've got down there. We don't want to do that. We want to leave a lot of it showing, just not all of it. So just gently scoop these up, tip them on, tip off the excess, repeat this a few times and you'll have covered over all the glue. Get it all on there, and then once you're happy with it, just, you know, make sure you've not got any glue left showing, put some in the grass tufts to tie that all together, and yeah, job's a good one. Obviously this is a Blood Bowl base, and what Blood Bowl base wouldn't be complete without a little white line going across it? That's how you know it's a Blood Bowl base and not just a generic Skaven base. Now, because the Mordant Earth is fairly fragile, I'm going to give it a nice coating with the matte Coelic sealant there, just to tie everything in and hold everything down. And once that's dried, it's time to go in and do the most important step on any basing painting session, and that is to tidy up the base rim. Seriously guys, make sure you paint your base rim. I don't care what colour you do it. You can do it in black, you can do it brown, you can do it whatever colour you want. Just make sure it's nice and tidy. There's nothing worse than seeing a nicely painted model in a lovely base and a messy base rim. Pet peeve of mine, and I know I go on about it a lot, but just get it done. So there we go guys, that is the base finished. I'm really happy with how this came out. As I said, sometimes the Mordant Earth doesn't always work as nicely as it has done on this base. Sometimes it will come off in certain areas, or it'll not give the cracks that you want in other areas. But I think that this looks absolutely fantastic, and I think it really suits the Skaven team. I've got one guy done, only another 11 players to go. I'm looking forward to getting them all done. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. So there you go guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like down below, and if you want to see more from me, then hit that subscribe button and consider coming and popping along to one of our live streams. We do them every Wednesday at 8 PM. If you'd like to help support the channel, there are our affiliate and sponsor links down below in the description. Or you can do what all these amazing people did and join our membership program right here on YouTube. However you choose to support us is all massively appreciated, so thank you very much. That's all from me, and I'll see you next week with another video.